wanted to do this video on how to start shaping your collar for the other side. Now, I know I've gotten so many questions because people are like, oh, what about this third panel? Are you gonna show it? Technically, with all the videos that I've shown, you know how to do each square. Now it's all about just going at your own pace and knowing where to place them. If you don't have a picture of the sweater, at the beginning of all my videos, I do have my sweater spaced out, you know, all laid out, so you can see where each stitched line is on the outside and where it's not. So, and I've also gotten a lot of questions about, you know, if I'm still gonna be doing videos. I am. I promise to go from start to finish. I will be showing everything, this other side, you know, the back, the collar, the cuffs, the buttons, everything. I'm not leaving you hanging. I'm still gonna be here, but now that you know how to do each pattern, you can go ahead and go at your own pace and start, you know, doing, you know, finishing up this side if you're still on the left side, or if you're starting to work on this side, you can go ahead and do that. And just in case, if you don't see me posting as often, it's because I will be working on my panels too, so that I can, you know, have everything ready for you guys for when we start the back and the sleeves and all that. So today, what we're gonna do, like I said, is the shaping of the other collar. If you've already done it, great. And if you needed this guide, well, here it is. So we're just gonna move this out of the way and get started. So I have here my panel. As you can see, there's a stitched line on the outside. If you saw that my other square didn't look exactly like this one, it's because that was actually my first knitted square ever. So that was me learning how to do the yellow pattern and of course learning how to get that stitched line. So this one's a whole lot better. That was take 2 of doing that. But here we are, we're on the orange square, and technically I am starting on this side. So I'm actually starting on the wrong side of my work, but if we look at our collar, this is the right side of our work. If we're looking at it, it's because we're doing our line this way. So when we're decreasing our stitches, I will be taking off this one first. So I'm just gonna go right in. We already know how to decrease our stitches, and if you need a refresher, I have the other video on how to do the other side, but it's literally the same thing. So here I go, and I need to be doing, because I left off on my knit purl pattern, but I've already taken off that stitch, so we'll be good. I'm just gonna go ahead and move my yarn to this side, so I won't be tugging on it. This is a knit purl. Okay, was about to do the wrong stitch. This is why we always keep track of our patterns so we don't accidentally do a stitch that we're not supposed to. Alright, so now we're turning our work, and since our decrease is going this way, we'll be taking off the last stitch. And this one is actually, this one is actually my all knit row. And trust me, once you do this side, it's a whole lot easier, just because this pattern is a whole lot easier. Because I know the yellow one is kind of overwhelming at times. Doable, but just needs a little bit more concentration. But I've been seeing your progress photos that you've been sending me, and they all look amazing. I'm so excited and happy for how your cardigans are turning out. It's gonna be super awesome. Alright, so now we're at our last 2, and we're coming in and decreasing that stitch again. And of course, as always, we have our cutout, except this time we have it to the other side. Or we're gonna have it to the other side, this side. And we're gonna come in and decrease again. And it's another one of my knit rows. Doing knit purl because we're sticking to our pattern as best as we can, because I know sometimes when we take off a stitch it no longer keeps the pattern, but we just stick to it as best we can. Because keep in mind, like I said about the first the other square that we shaped, when we add in our red collar, half of that square will be hidden. So if it doesn't look that great, or if you're like, oh no, the pattern doesn't, like, you can't really see it, it's not a huge deal, because that red collar will be over it. That we can carefully put in. This stitch I might have done a little tight. See, this is why we don't do our stitches tight, because then it's a little bit harder to get our needle in there when it's time to decrease. But we got it. I'm gonna unwind the rest of my yarn because I am in fact running out, and hopefully this will let me finish. Again, because we want to keep our decrease on the same side, because the other side has to be a straight edge, or else we're going to end up with some weird tank top kind of shape, and that will be very hard to try to attach to your other squares. So you want to make sure you're only decreasing on one side of your square, because trust me, I made that mistake the first time too, and I had to take apart my square, because when I saw it, I realized I'd been decreasing on both sides. Okay, so now we're turning over our work. We still have a little bit to go, because when we measure it up to our square, it's not quite there yet, so we have to keep decreasing. And as always, when you're going, you might see it all spread out. We always have to give it shape. Another decrease, and turning our work over. By the looks of it, if I measure it again, it might be one more, and then we can start just going up. but you always want to measure it to your square. Because you don't want to accidentally have one collar be shaped the way you want it and then the other, you know, choking you or far too big. So we always just want to measure to our square to make sure that we have everything the same. Because that's the easy part of the sweater, is that literally both sides are the same. They're mirroring each other, and then of course all the squares are the same. So here we have this. I'm gonna make sure to shape mine, because I have mine half. And it could actually do with one more. So here I'm starting, because I already did my knit rows. This is my other knit purl rows. Should actually do it, and then I can just start stitching. Yep. Once we give it shape, and then I just start stitching a few more rows, and we should be good to go ahead and take it off the needle. So I'm not going to be decreasing anymore. I'm just going to be sticking to my hurdle stitch pattern, which if you don't have it written down somewhere or you need a refresher or something, you can always go back to the video where I first did this pattern, which was, I believe, actually my first one. We started off on an orange square. So if you need that reminder, just need to have a guide and go a little bit more slowly, you are more than welcome to go look at that other video. Top I am, so we are actually ready to take this off our needle. So we can go ahead and bind off, and if you don't remember how to do this, I have a previous video where we finished our first panel where I showed you how to take off your square. How to bind it off and just take it off the needle so you can get going on your other panels. And there we have our second collar. on our first panel on the other side.